Now, I'll never remember the morning we went to the exchange. I woke up in the morning and I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw the stock was trading from the night before, and I looked at the stock price, the number of shares I had, and I went, shit, I'm fucking rich. It never hit me till then. And when I talk to entrepreneurs today, it's always the same. They always say the same thing. They say, I didn't think about the money. My point is, it was never about the money. When I talk to entrepreneurs today that had the same experience from like their basement to that huge liquidity event, they don't even think about it. It's the journey. It's the passion for the business. That's what got them going. That's what got me going. You have to have that catharsis. You have to make that decision. You're going to take that path of entrepreneurship, and it's not for everybody. But if it's in you, you'll know. So I say to every entrepreneur that's starting their journey or contemplating it, do not go after entrepreneurship out of the greed of money. You will never find it. It's a passion for personal freedom. And the only way you're going to make your first $1 million, and this is a material challenge, is you have to solve a problem for somebody. And if you solve that problem for one person, and it's a similar problem that millions of other people have, that's the core of what a business is. Entrepreneurs see problems, find solutions, and that's how they create a business. Businesses are always solving problems for people. I've learned a lot on the road, just the journey I've had. I've had a chance to be pitched ideas from thousands of people, thousands. And I have learned something to be true. There are 3 elements that are involved in every single presentation that's successful in getting financed. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to make your first $1 million, usually you need to raise capital somewhere, even if it's from friends and family. So I want you to listen to this advice, because these attributes aren't found some of the time, they're found all of the time. And it's really about communications. That's what it is. It's about communicating the opportunity and making people understand it, because if you can't explain where you want to go, no one will follow you. I have a thesis. I'll tell you what it is. What are you watching when you watch Shark Tank? You're watching the pursuit of freedom. Is there anything more noble than creating your own wealth and setting yourself free? No. That's what Shark Tank's about. It's the essence of personal freedom. It's not about getting rich. It's about achieving something for yourself that is unique to our society and capitalism. Personal freedom. Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know when you're just going to school what's going to happen next. It's sort of like the journey you're starting now in some ways, and maybe tell you about some of the mistakes I made, which would be in some ways more valuable than just talking about success, because I wouldn't want you to make those again. And I actually feel that way about any entrepreneur that's had success, that they would pass forward a path of least resistance, so to speak. Maybe give you some ideas on what not to do. Here it is. Let's pick it up where you are. I'm off to college, so I tell my stepfather, I really want to be a photographer or a rock star, and he says, you're nuts, you'll starve to death doing that. It's very, very hard, and it's very competitive, and those are, very binary outcomes, because either you're a really, really good photographer, which I'm not sure you are, to stay competitive in the commercial world, and frankly, I've heard your guitar, and you got a long way to go. Well, at least he was telling me the truth at the time. But the point is, college is where I went. And I decided, even back then, I thought, well, maybe I should try being an engineer, because those guys seem to get jobs. I don't know what I want to do. So I enrolled in engineering 101. Anyways, I go to my first class of engineering. Whoa, was that tough. Whoa, 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 whoa. And I wanted to party. And I mean, look, I'm just telling you the truth. So I didn't hang out in engineering too long. And I spent my 4 years in psychology, and in environmental studies. In 3rd year, I meet this girl, and it's my first serious relationship, and we move in together, and she was rather artsy. And
she convinced me to go to night class in cinematography, advanced cinematography. You know, I was into photography, but I'd never worked with film before. There was some complex technology. It's not what it is today, but it was tough. And I really got into it. I was, you know, we'd go 3 hours to these night classes, and then we'd film, and then we'd edit, and we'd talk about making film. And I was falling in love, but I was also falling in love with cinematography and the potential of what it could be. And being a filmmaker, it kind of went into that artistic bent. But boy, that is not a place to make money easily. But here's what happens. As I get into the film community, I start meeting people that say, look, you know, we've seen some of your camera work. Can we hire you as a cameraman? We're doing an industrial shoot, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, we're doing some sports filming, whatever. We just need camera guys. I'm learning the tools of the trade. I'm learning how to be a cameraman. I'm learning how to buy film. I'm learning how to budget for a shoot. Industrial, commercial, you name it. I'm a sound guy. I'm a lighting guy. I mean, when you're that small, you're doing everything. And I was just learning how to do it and really loving it and working a lot, you know, going to school all day and then shooting all night, editing on weekends. When you're really passionate about something, it's fantastic if you can merge that into your work, because you don't mind working 25 hours a day. And believe me, I was. I get great marks in psychology and environmental studies. I go home and my dad says to me, well, how are you gonna get a job with this? The environmental stuff hadn't even happened yet, and psychology, tough. You know, unless you want to get into research, you want to go do your PhD, not so easy. He was right. He's always right. And so he said, why don't you go get a business degree? I know you still want to be a filmmaker and you want to be a musician and all this stuff and a photographer, but why don't you get some tools, some building blocks about business? Because really, even if you pursue any of those, you know, disciplines, you're still going to need some basic business so you can run your life. So I applied, I got in. This is where the serendipitous nature of life, the box of chocolates, starts to happen. I'm sitting down with the dean after I get accepted of the business school, and I say to him, Dean, listen, I'm going to spend 24 months here getting this degree, and I bet you have an ongoing need to recruit people from all around the world. Why don't you let me make a film about this experience? I'm a filmmaker. I want to pursue a business degree, but I know how to make films, and I could hire a crew. I could document this whole experience from the day everybody meets each other right through the learning in the class, what they're experiencing as the time goes on, and get you the inside story of what it's like to pursue, you know, a business degree in such an intense program, because MBAs are tough. Like, you burn a lot of hours. You work every day of the week. 2 days later, and you know, I'm just starting the program, he says, there's a lot of interest, but you're going to do it for $30,000. I said, done. One of those deals. I also said to him, Dean, I can't do the full program and shoot a film for 2 years. You got to cut me some slack. Give me a couple of credits on this and mark the film based on its merits and what others say about it and how it is for you as a tool to recruit. So if it's really a crappy tool, then I should get a very low mark. And if it's a really good film, you should score it. We did that deal. And I went to work and I shot that film. And it was a crazy experience. But when it was over, 24 months later, the film was a unique insight into what the program was about in a way no other person could have done it. Now, having shot that film, I'd hired a crew, and I said, guys, why don't we form a company together? We're really good at this. Let's form a company. We were really good at it. It was called Special Events Television. And the way we created value, in television, to create value, you have to create a unique format. Like Friends, the show you've heard of, that's a format. Somebody owns that format. Nobody else can make Friends because they own the format. We went into sports television. We created sports formats. Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legends was one of them. The company took off. We were selling the shows each week. We were broadcasting them everywhere. And I looked at my partners and I said, wow, look at this. No longer, you know, I think it was only 2 years later, we got bought out. It was my first transaction. And I went, this is good. This was an incredible experience. We started with nothing and we created this company. It was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars each. Towards the end, I had enrolled in a night class with a computer called an Osborne computer. It was the first portable computer ever made. It was a CP/M operating system. And I met this guy named John Freeman. John had designed a program that drove Hewlett-Packard plotters. Now, when you're in television, you're always making all these graphics. It's very expensive, very time-consuming. Titles, we'd have to get them printed, and there wasn't any, digitized technology at that point. But John learned how to take a multi-pen Hewlett-Packard plotter, which was an XY axis pen driven by a computer, and do graphics for a giant oil company he worked with. He was an executive there, and he showed it to me at the, and this is right after we'd sold Special Event Television, and I looked at it and said, John, every guy that buys a plotter from Hewlett-Packard is going to want one of these software packages. Let's form a partnership, and I'll market this stuff, and you'll write the code, and I will fly all around the world and convince the plotter companies to bundle that software with their plotters. He said, wow, but I can't give up my job. I got a family, I got kids. I said, look, you write code all night and weekends. I don't have a job. I just sold my company. And I remember sitting on the red chair in my living room. We were trying to name the company, and we called it SoftKey, S-O-F-T-K-E-Y. SoftKey Software Products, John and I. And we just kept going and going and going. Now here's, I think, where my first million comes in. I started getting calls from everybody because it was the beginning of the dot-com era, and they wanted to invest in my company. And we just kept going. We did dozens of products. We went to a trade show called Comdex, and we just got bigger and bigger. A bunch of private equity guys invested in it. And then one day, a banker came to me and said, why don't we take SoftKey Software Products public? I said, why don't you work with the finance guys, put a deal together, and I'm happy to take it public. That was my first $1 million.